All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome to another stream. Hope you're all doing fantastic. We're going to get comments pulled up on my end while we wait to see who's going to get first in chat today. So today, guys, we're going to be doing something a bit different, a bit interesting. I kind of wanted to mix things up a little bit today. So today we're going to focus on Dr. Claire Weeks, and out beside that I've got Sensitization. But basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be reading over some of the more well-known, I guess you could say, some of the more well-known Dr. Claire Weeks quotes and some things that she has said in regards to anxiety, in regards to recovery and sensitization. So we're basically going to be reading over that. I've got some really good ones pulled up. So we're going to discuss that, and we're going to talk about what she meant, in my opinion, by these different quotes and sayings, whatever you want to call it. So today I was just like, you know what? None of us would be here now without Dr. Claire Weeks, so why don't we have an entire stream dedicated to Dr. Weeks and just some things that she said on sensitization and recovery. Felt like that was a pretty good idea, so we're going to do something a bit different today. Bo, what is up? Got first in chat today. What is going on, dude? Zoe, welcome. Hi, hello, welcome everybody. Let's see. Let's make sure that the bot actually sent out my notifications for me. Okay, there we go. There we go. All right. Love Dr. Claire Weeks. Absolutely. Like I said, you know, none of us would technically be here now, really, if it wasn't for Dr. Claire Weeks. So, wanted to do an entire stream on that. We shouldn't have to wait around too long before we get started because chat seems to already be piling up. So, come one, come all. How are you guys doing today? What is up, B? Welcome. Guys, we are so close, so close to 10.5k subs. So close, right around the corner. We're also only like 50, I think, 50-ish away from 1,000 followers on Twitter, which is absolutely amazing. We went from like 600 and some almost to 1,000 in the few days that I've been talking about it. So let's see if we can break that 1,000 follower mark over on Twitter. We're also doing more and more TikToks. I'm going to be honest. I'm starting to get a little addicted to the TikToks, right? Making the TikToks. It's fun. It's fun. Now, do they serve any sort of value? Some of them do. I do some serious ones, but most of them are just goofy. So, I don't know. If you're interested in that, you can follow me over on TikTok. You can find me under Vacate Fear on pretty much everything. So, PJ, what's up, dude? Miller, hello. So awesome to catch this live. Happy to have you here, Charles. Let's see how many people we got in here. I think we can go ahead and get started. No sense in waiting around any longer. Let me pull this down here so I'm not constantly having to break my neck. All right. So, what are we doing today? Today we are going to be discussing Dr. Claire Weeks. More specifically, we are going to be reading some things that she had to say that I find significant about recovery, about sensitization. What is sensitization for anybody who might be new here? Sensitization simply means you have a ton of anxiety because your nerves are so tired. And those nerves are so tired from all the constant worry and negative behavior that you do. How do you fix that? Two main keys. Start to have the accepting attitude. Talk yourself up, not down, right? So instead of fighting with those thoughts and feelings, you tell yourself, for example, that you can handle it, and then you get up and you live your life. You have that positive behavior. This is how you teach your brain that the danger is not real. Now, don't want to go down that too far. If you're more interested on that sort of thing, we got plenty of streams on that. Today, I do want to focus on Dr. Claire Weeks, so let's see. Chat is already just about full. Let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start right here at the top. Now, these are all direct quotes from Dr. Claire Weeks about recovery. So the first thing that I've got here pulled up is a setback is part of recovery. Short, sweet, and simple. A setback is part of recovery. So Dr. Claire Weeks, she understood that nobody is perfect. And if you watch my streams, you know that I say that all the time. Nobody is perfect. And Dr. Claire Weeks understood that as well. And that is why she said a setback is part of recovery. I've been doing this for a while, right? I've been doing this for a while. I've been doing streams and videos for several years now. I can honestly say I've never ran into anybody that's watched my streams or videos that has just said, okay, Wonder Bro, accepting attitude and positive behavior, living my life, I got it, and they've never ran into any sort of difficulty. I can honestly say that's never happened. 9 times out of 10, not to say that that's impossible, but 9 times out of 10, most people are going to experience difficulties from time to time in their recovery. Maybe they, for lack of better words, and just to put it bluntly, fuck up, right? And that's going to happen. Maybe some days, you add a ton of worry instead of having the accepting attitude. You don't use any positive behavior, just a bunch of negative compulsions. Maybe some days this happens. And Dr. Claire Weeks knew that this would happen with acceptance in general, and that is why she said a setback is part of recovery. So, gotta love that one. Short, sweet, and to the point. Let's move on. So, next we've got, accept that you may frighten yourself for some time to come until habit dies and sensitization improves. So let's read that again. Hello, Sherry, Miss Moon, Prince, welcome. We're just reading some Dr. Claire Weeks quotes today. So let's read that again. Accept that you may frighten yourself for some time, right? Accept that you may frighten yourself for some time to come until habit dies and sensitization improves. So again, she's basically saying the same thing she said in the first quote there, setback is part of recovery. When you first get started, or even, just if you're having a bad day, maybe you've been at this for a while, you're making significant progress, but there might be times still, right, where you may frighten yourself. So what is she kind of getting at there? How would we apply that to my two main keys? There may be times where you don't have the accepting attitude, and that's okay. You shouldn't beat yourself up about it. You should get back on track as quickly as you can, right? You should make those adjustments. However, just go ahead and accept that there will be some times where you may frighten yourself, and that's okay. Just like she says, a setback is part of recovery. These things are okay. Is it okay to stay there? Is it okay to have these things happen and stay there and not get back on track? I wouldn't say that's okay, but the fact that these things happen is okay because it's normal. It's normal. So let's move on. Be prepared to let it do its very worst. Be prepared to let it do its very worst. Now, on some of our more blunt streams that we do here, some of our more straightforward streams that we do here, we talk about how you can have the more aggressive attitude towards acceptance and say, you know what, if it's going to kill me, it's going to kill me. We know that anxiety is not going to kill you, but we're doing the opposite of worry when we say, if it's going to kill me, it's going to kill me. If it's going to make me go insane, it's going to make me go insane. So be it. Right? So Dr. Claire Weeks herself even says, be prepared to let it do its very worst. So there's no more an attitude of, oh gosh, I hope this doesn't grow, right? We talked about this the other day. People are afraid to let it grow. There's no more an attitude of, oh, I hope this doesn't grow. I hope this doesn't turn into something. I hope this doesn't get any worse. Dr. Claire Weeks says right here, be prepared to let it do its very worst. Stop trying to hold it back. Right? When you get into that attitude of trying to hold it off or hold it back, you're probably using a bunch of compulsions and coping methods, and you've probably not got a very accepting attitude going on because you're up there in your head saying, oh, I need to hold this thing back. I need to make sure, this doesn't grow. I need to make sure this doesn't turn into something, right? I don't want this to get any worse than it already is. So you've got that resistant negative attitude of trying to hold it back, right? So again, Dr. Claire Weeks says right here, be prepared to let it do its very worst, right? Because if you're always going through anxiety with the attitude of, I don't want to see where this is going to take me, then there's always going to be some resistance there. So try to work on that attitude. Like Dr. Claire Weeks says, be prepared to let it do its very worst, right? Right? So moving on, let's find another one. Let's see here. Don't be bluffed by new, strange, nervous feelings. Now, often I get people coming at me and saying, hey, I got this symptom kind of just popped off today. I'm not really used to this one. And it kind of throws them for a loop, right? They didn't expect it, so it kind of caught them off guard. Now they're adding a lot of worry and a lot of second fear. So Dr. Claire Weeks says, do not be bluffed by new, strange, nervous feelings. This can happen. Every now and then you can be met with sort of a symptom that you're not quite used to, right? Do not be bluffed by these new, strange, nervous feelings. Dr. Claire Weeks says it best, as always, right? Moving on, we got float through it, don't fight it, right? Short, sweet, and simple, to the point, float through it, don't fight it. And what she meant by that was, if you start feeling intense anxiety, right? You really got two choices. You can get into the attitude mindset of, oh shit, I don't like this, make this go away, or you can get into the attitude of floating. And floating simply means that you're allowing the moment to be as it is. There's an attitude there of, okay, you know, this is here, but I'm going to carry on. This is here, but I'm going to float with it, not try to go against it. This is here, but I'm still going to do what I need to do, let it be there, and just kind of go with the flow, right? To float with it, don't fight against it. Dr. Claire Weeks. So let's find another one. These are beautiful. I love them. Okay, go with the tide. Tread water until the worst is over. So that's Dr. Claire Weeks again. Go with the tide. Tread water until the worst is over. So go with the tide, don't go against the tide. When you go against the tide, you're trying to stop it. You're trying to do something about it. You're trying to fight it. You're trying to make it come to an end. Go with it instead of against it. When you go against it, you've got this resistance, this resistance-filled attitude. You should always go with the moment and whatever the moment contains, not against. And that includes the thoughts, right? That includes the intrusive thoughts. That includes the anxious symptoms. Go with, not against. So the mind is popping off saying these things. All right, that's fine. Let it be. Let it talk, right? Let it talk. You don't have to respond with an argument or debate. The body's doing its thing with these symptoms. That's fine. Let it be. You don't have to respond with coping methods or compulsions. To let everything be, mind and body, and go with. And say, okay, I'm going to let this experience be as it is, instead of going against, right? Take some courage, take some practice. But again, what's the quote say? Go with the tide, right? Tread the water until the worst is over. Love it, love it. Okay. Moving on. However long you have suffered, Dr. Claire Weeks, however long you have suffered, if you wish to recover, then you can. Now, this is a quote that I've referenced many times here on the channel because I do have several people at times come to me and say, hey, I've been dealing with this thing for this many years. I just now learned about acceptance. Is it going to take me this many years to recover? I'm like, no, it doesn't matter where you start, right? So you could have been an anxious person for 5 years, 10 years, whatever the case may be. Dr. Claire Weeks says it best. However long you have suffered, doesn't matter, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, whatever, irrelevant. If you wish to recover, then you can. She says it the best. She always does. If you wish to recover, then you can. All right? Let's continue. Let's find another one. We've got several here. I'm just picking out the best in my opinion. Let's see. Just picking out the best in my opinion. So this is a good one. It's an interesting one because it does deal with anxiety, but at the same time, not really. It is important to be able to tolerate being alone. Otherwise, you will spend your life running away from yourself. That's a Dr. Claire Weeks quote. It is important to be able to tolerate being alone, right? Otherwise, you will spend your life running away from yourself. And I think what she's really hinting at there is it's important to be able to be with yourself in your own feelings and thoughts without trying to run away from them, right? So she's kind of hinting at the fact that if you're always trying to run away from yourself, and you're trying to find yourself in other people so that you can escape yourself, then you're going to spend the rest of your life doing that. So basically what she's saying there is you need to learn how to get comfortable being with your own thoughts and feelings by yourself, right? Which is a huge skill to learn. So I love that one. That's not one that you hear a whole lot about. It is important to be able to tolerate being alone. Otherwise, you will spend your life running away from yourself, right? Let's see. Short, sweet, and simple. Dr. Claire Weeks, pay them no mind, right? To allow your thoughts and feelings to be as they are. You're not getting involved. Another quote here, recovery always lies ahead, however painful the moment, right? So what is she saying there? Recovery always lies in moving forward, right? Basically, recovery always lies in moving forward no matter how painful the moment is. So what she's saying there is no matter how painful it is to keep moving forward and to keep living your life, right? How does this apply to the two main keys? To keep living your life, to keep doing the things you know you need to do, right? That's where recovery lies, no matter how painful that might be, right? No matter how painful it is to let those thoughts and feelings be there without getting involved and just keep moving forward, that's where recovery lies. I love it. Here's a classic one. A lot of people have probably heard this one. Recovery lies in the places and experiences you fear the most. Recovery lies in the places and experiences you fear the most. So basically, what is she hinting at there? Recovery lies in those experiences, those situations that you think you can't handle, but you put yourself through them and you allow that storm to pass. You start to teach your brain the truth, right? So again, recovery lies in the places and experiences you fear the most. So you can kind of see the theme here. You can kind of see what she's getting at. If you put all these quotes kind of together and look at them as a whole, you can see that she keeps hinting at the fact that you just got to do it. You got to go forward with these thoughts and feelings and accept them, even though you think that you can't. You've got to continue to go forward, live life, have the accepting attitude. That'll always be my two main keys, right? And you can see how Dr. Claire Weeks keeps hinting at this, that you've got to keep moving forward in the experiences and situations that you fear and prove to your brain that there is no real danger, and you can do it, right? Anybody here is capable of doing it, but you've got to give it a try. You can't do it unless you try, okay? You can't do it unless you practice. So we'll finish this up. Somebody in chat said this applies no matter how debilitating and intense the symptoms are. Let's read it again. Recovery lies in the places and experiences you fear the most, right? Recovery always lies ahead, however painful the moment. Doesn't matter how painful the moment is, right? These are Dr. Claire Weeks' words, not mine. So does that answer? You see what I'm getting at? Does that answer your question? This applies no matter how debilitating or intense the symptoms are. Of course they're debilitating, right, with your current mindset. But until you teach yourself that you are capable, you will always consider them debilitating. But you've got to show yourself that you're capable. And that means, just like Dr. Claire Weeks says here, however painful the moment, recovery lies in the experiences you fear the most. So it's all about punching through that. Now we're going to finish this with probably the most, popular Dr. Claire Weeks quotes that exists. Strength is not born from strength, right? Strength can only be born from weakness. So be glad of your weaknesses now. They are the beginnings of your strength, right? Let's read that again. Strength is not born from strength, meaning you don't start out strong. Strength can only be born from weakness, meaning strength is something that you learn. Strength is something that you practice. So be glad of your weaknesses now. They are the beginnings of your strength, right? Probably one of the most popular and common Dr. Claire Weeks quotes. Absolutely love it. So there you go, guys. We'll do another quick one here because I just now spotted this at the bottom. I didn't see it down there. They are only thoughts, however horrible. So no matter how horrible the thoughts are, truly, at the end of the day, they are just thoughts. You don't have to debate with them, right? You don't have to argue with them. You don't have to do any of that, right? They are only thoughts. No matter how horrible they might seem or be, they still, in reality, are only thoughts. I didn't notice that one until just now. I'm glad I caught it. So there you go, guys. A little bit of Dr. Claire Weeks discussion today. Like I said, it only feels right because none of this would be a thing. None of this would exist really without Dr. Claire Weeks. So I wanted to take just a moment to read out some of those, some good stuff in there, man. Some good stuff. Dr. Claire Weeks really knew what she was talking about. And you'll notice everything that she says, like I said a few minutes ago, everything that she says is hinting at the fact that you can have recovery, you can obtain recovery, but it's going to require moving forward. You could apply that to the two main keys. That means living life, right? And having that accepting attitude. Recovery lies in the experiences that you fear the most, okay? So it takes practice, takes a little bit of courage. Sometimes you've got to build that courage. That courage probably won't be there overnight. But you can see Dr. Claire Weeks, even though she doesn't use as many F-bombs as I might use, even though she doesn't curse, or it comes off as a bit of a hardhead sometimes. She's very sweet about it, but you can see she's also telling you the same thing, right? You can't reach recovery unless you're willing to go forward in these things, unless you're willing to try to practice that accepting attitude, unless you're willing to move forward, continue living life with the symptoms and the thoughts instead of withdrawing, right? She's hinting at the same thing. So Dr. Claire Weeks, Gotta love her. Absolutely amazing. Really knew her stuff, right? And like I said, it only felt right to do a Dr. Claire Week stream because it's been so, well, it's not been that long, but it's been too long since we've spoke about Dr. Claire Week. So I wanted to do that today. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure you leave a big thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. Also, like I said, we're only like 50-ish people away from 1K followers over on Twitter. So if you would like to follow me over there, I would really, really appreciate it. Let's move on over to the post stream now and get some music going, and we'll read some comments. If you guys have any questions or anything you're curious about, go ahead and comment that now and we will get to it. How are you beautiful people doing, man? How are you doing? Let's get our music pulled up. What do we want to listen to today, chat? What do we want to listen to today? Let's go with the Miami Vice playlist. Let's go with the Miami Vice playlist. We haven't listened to that in a minute. All right. There we go. There we go. Let's see if we can turn that up a little bit. I don't know why it's so low on your end. There you go. There you go. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. How are you doing today, Sherry? Hope you're doing fantastic. How are you doing? How is it that I can handle stress better on some days and other days I just lose my shit? Old habits, right? Old bad habits, man. Old bad habits. And those days when your old bad habits are testing you is the days when it matters the most, right? When that fear is there, when that anxiety there, when you want to resort to old bad habits, like worry, like negative behavior, you know, so forth and so on. When those things are there and they're strong, it is absolutely your time to do some retraining. Not always easy. Not always easy, but worth it. Not always easy, but worth it. Do you accept donations on Bitcoin? I'm not actually in the Bitcoin scene. I know it's extremely popular. Extremely popular, but I don't really know much about it, to be honest. I don't really know much about it. Claire Weeks is the queen. Absolutely agree with you. How are you doing today, Miss Moon? How are you doing today, Prince? Definitely a roller coaster if you're going through hell. Keep on going. Absolutely. 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 True, thank you. Of course, of course. Like I said, you know, old bad habits. Old bad habits die hard. Have you ever heard that old saying before? Bad habits die hard. It's true. It's 100% true. Bad habits do die hard. But that's when it matters the most. You're going to be so tempted. Sometimes we talk about how, you know, it feels like a pull. It actually feels like quite the gravitational pull. You just want to do these bad habits. You want to add the worry. You want to do the compulsions. You want to do these negative things. And it feels so strong sometimes that it really does feel like a pull. So you've got to be able to say, okay, what do I want out of this moment? Do I want to use it as a good chance to really break through and practice what I know to be true? Do I want to build better habits in this moment, or do I want to give into that pull to go back to negative behavior? Because it is going to feel like a pull. It's going to feel like something is literally pulling you to do the negative behavior, to do the compulsions, to do the worry, right? You have to be able to resist, and we don't use the word resist very often here when talking positively, but you have to be able to resist the pull of the temptation to go back to your old ways, right? You have to be able to build that courage to do that. And you're not going to be perfect at it. You're not going to be perfect. But this is what you've got to practice. This is what you've got to practice. Building better habits can take a lot of work. I'm sitting through every panic attack with acceptance instead of getting up and asking for reassurance. And because you're doing that, Olivia, because you are doing that, you will start to see amazing progress in your life. Now, don't sit around and worry about when you'll see that progress, but just know that it's on the way. Keep it up. That is awesome. That is amazing. So proud of you. Loved all the quotes. Yes, they were amazing. There was a ton more, but I just wanted to go over what I felt like was the most relevant and important ones. But there's enough to do maybe a part 2 of this. I don't know if you guys enjoyed this sort of thing, just reading over some Dr. Claire Weeks stuff, you know. If you enjoyed that, maybe there's enough out there to do a part 2 to this. But yeah, that is absolutely amazing, Olivia. Keep it up. Keep it up. Man, you'll surprise yourself if you just go for it. You will surprise yourself. I know you might not feel like the most confident person in the world right now, but you will surprise yourself, dude, if you just go for it. And what do I mean by just go for it? I mean trying these new behaviors, trying to let go of some of these negative behaviors, trying to replace them with better habits, better behaviors, right? Cutting back on the compulsions, the coping methods, trying to practice just letting thoughts and feelings be there without arguing with them, right? It might, oh God, I'm sorry, I burped. Too much soda before stream. It might be an intense experience, right? Nonetheless, it might be a very intense experience, and that's something you can expect. That it probably will be an intense experience to allow a thought to be without arguing with it, right? Right? Especially if it's really bothering you. It might be a bit of an intense experience to allow yourself to feel a certain anxious way without doing your usual coping methods. It might be a bit of an intense experience to allow yourself to feel a certain way or think a certain way, to have these thoughts, right, without using the compulsions, right? This all might be an intense experience. So to use the two main keys, to have the accepting attitude while you're living your life instead of using negative behavior, might feel strange to you. It might feel weird to you. It might feel different. I'm sure it will feel different, right? And you might not get those instant results. This is all okay. Just rest assured that your brain is learning, and that yes, it can be a bit of a challenge sometimes, and you're going to feel like you're being pulled by your old negative behaviors. But if you just keep at it, you are going to reap the benefits. All right, you are going to reap the benefits, but you got to keep at it. Gotta keep at it. All right, let's see here. We're gonna drop some links in the chat. Okay. All right, let's see here. There we go. I finally found it. Took me a minute, but I found it. What are we at on the Discord? Like 700? I think we just broke 700 today, so that's growing like crazy. It's funny you're mentioning Bitcoin today, Miller, because I've been looking into it, but I still don't really know much about it. I have been looking into it, and I need to learn a bit more about it. I know the basics. That's about it. Is sensitization permanent? No. I've gotten better from where I once was, but still have days where I feel very sensitized and uncomfortable for no reason. Little things set me off. So is sensitization permanent? No. Your bad habits, can they be permanent if you allow them to be? Yes. So the question is, you have to ask yourself, right? You have to ask yourself this question. And the other day we talked about this. It's about being honest with yourself. What kind of behaviors are you using? If every time you're sensitized and uncomfortable, what are you doing? Right? And you don't have to answer that out loud. But what are your behaviors? How are you doing things? Are you trying to mix it up? Are you trying to go about life in a better way, in a better direction? When you're sensitized and uncomfortable, how many of those bad habits are you still using? Do you have the accepting attitude? Do you not? Right? Are you using positive behavior while you're uncomfortable, or are you using negative behavior? Coping methods, compulsions, that sort of thing. So really, it's all about getting honest with yourself. It's all about getting honest with yourself, which I'm not saying that people don't do, but it's something they're not in a habit of doing, right? So everybody's kind of, they don't have that habit of being honest with themselves. They kind of just let these things slide, and then they wonder why, right? Which is something, and a mistake that I've made myself, many, many times during my recovery, many, many times. So you do have to get into a habit of being honest with yourself. If you want true change, that has to happen. It has to happen, which is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. You might make a lot of self-discoveries that you didn't even know existed. Man, it is windy outside today. Jesus. What did Claire Weeks said about depression? Basically the same thing she said about anxiety. When she references or mentions, oh shit, that scared the crap out of me. That scared the crap of me. We will read that in just a second. Anytime she mentioned depression, it was the same thing as anxiety. I believe she gave an example once about stop staring at the same ceiling, which was kind of just, and don't quote me on that because it's been so long since I've read the books, but it was always along the same lines of what she would say about anxiety. Stop staring at the same ceiling. You got to get up and get living. You've got to use positive behavior. If you want different results, you've got to take different actions. It'll always come down to that. You can't keep putting the same actions in place and expecting your brain to get a different message. Do you see what we're getting at? If you want your brain to operate a different way, there's got to be different action. You want different results, there's got to be different action. Right? So people are basically living Groundhog's Day, where they do the same thing every day. Same negative behaviors, same compulsions, same coping methods, never crack a smile. They're just doing the same thing every single day. They're doing the same thing every single day, same behaviors, and they're getting the same results. They're not putting anything new in, and they're getting the same results. Now, that's common sense. That's obvious, but we don't think about it that way. However, we need to start thinking about it that way, right? You keep putting in the same actions. Why are you expecting different results? Right? So Dr. Claire Weeks, she says something along the lines of stop staring at the same ceiling, right? So, we don't think about it that way, but we need to think about it that way, right? We know that it's common sense that if you do something different, you get different results. But for some reason, and I was guilty of this too, for some reason we don't apply that to the brain. However, it needs to be applied. That needs to be applied to the brain. You want different results, you got to take different action, and sometimes that requires facing discomfort. Sometimes that requires facing feeling a bit different or odd because you're doing something different. Sometimes that requires facing fear. So yeah, apply that same message that's so obvious, different actions, different results. Apply that to your brain as well. All right, 2 tips coming in. Let's see what we got here. Prince making it rain. Pandemonium 69 says, thanks for helping remove the stigma from anxiety. Absolutely.